This is a tutorial to show one set of methods by which I translate from HTML into WordPress. Step one, we have a file that's on the Polanyi Society at the present time, Book Rev Authors HTM, which is in the root of the website. And I open that file in an old copy of Dreamweaver version 4. I was able to purchase this with a lifetime license. And I download the current version of the file from the Polanyi Society website. So start with what's actually there today at the moment. I go into the code view of the page. I run a few commands: apply source formatting, clean up HTML, clean up Word HTML, just to have a certain check on the quality of the HTML. Clean things up. I've already done that. Then I copy the HTML code and go to a very helpful and powerful text editor. Now, it's called Ultra Edit. This also is something that I've paid for and have a lifetime license. And I've already pasted it into this text editor. What's important here is this choice that I've made to use UTF-8 encoding for the contents of the HTML from the website. That's because there are some foreign characters, some Hungarian characters, there might be some Polish characters, there may be other accented vowels or marked up consonants, and UTF-8 allows those particular characters to be preserved. First task is to get rid of the head material, which we don't need in WordPress. So we don't need it. We're only going to give the heart of the HTML page to WordPress. So getting rid of all of the introductory material, and I can go down to the end of the file and get rid of the closing material. Now we're left with the information, the middle part of the page. And this begins the process of translation, of softening things up. You'll notice here that each of these fragments of a sentence and a paragraph have a carriage return at the end of them. This is worked out perfectly well, looks perfectly fine on the HTML version of the website, but it doesn't work for WordPress because we have different size screens that we're trying to serve. So it's very important that a sentence or a set of sentences in a paragraph flow, that there only be one end of paragraph marker, and not these intermediate breaking lines up into parts. So this begins a process of searching for lines like this by eye, seeing them, and I have a macro. I'm just checking to make sure that kill hard return. Yes, I didn't save what I did yesterday. All right. Yes, I want to assign it to the macro anyway. And I sit here and I go for every line that's broken up by intermediate carriage returns. I'm now going to call the macro with Control Q, and notice that it's inserting a space in place of the carriage return. I don't mind that because at the end of doing all of this, I'm going to run later on, search for two spaces, replace with one. And I just replace that everywhere. I run that as often as necessary until there are no more extra spaces, double spaces in any part of the file. I may have to do that. Um, let's try our next. Here's another entry where it has been given a carriage return at the end of the line to make it look nice in the old system, but that's no good for the new system. And I just go on and I run my macro until every entry in the old page has been fixed. I'm going to stop the video at this point and just do this for a while and come back when we're ready for the next phase of translating the page, which is getting rid of the unnecessary, unhelpful HTML codes. We're getting ready to feed this in the form of HTML into the WordPress editor, but a lot of these tags are not necessary. So I'll go on and do the cleaning up of the lines and start up another, rather, return to this tutorial when we're ready for the next step. We are ready now to start eliminating most tags. The first one that's not needed is the font face sans serif. I imagine this is the only one in the document. So I'm just going to do this without search and replace. Because the font choice is made by the theme that is used in WordPress. And so we want not to override whatever the theme is using for ordinary typeface. Now, we don't need any of the end of line markers, these BRs. So I'm going to take a copy of this, I hope, and just to make sure I know what I'm searching for. Put it here, replace with nothing, replace them all. The okay, not found. How about this? Current file, yes, replace them all. Okay, that's the only one. The end of line is indicated by, again, by the software. We don't have to worry about that. We're not going to use a table because that is not easy to make presentable in all of the different styles or sizes of devices, from a desktop computer to a cell phone. So now we're going to get rid of the, maybe we won't. This is, okay, so we're going to get rid of the table row markers because we're not using a table. And let's see what's going to happen here. We will try to replace that everywhere that it exists. I'm going to replace that with nothing and see how that goes. Let's stop with the BR. Okay. Nope. Okay, try another one. Get a table row and cut that and put that up here and search and replace. Okay. Now we also need to get rid of all of the end of the row markers. So we're going to replace all of those. Now notice there were 115 table rows and 120 end of table row markers. So there's a little inconsistency in the structure of the table. We're not going to worry about it too much because we're not using the table. Now, these color markings, I'm preserving them for posterity, and they don't have an effect right now. If we want to go back and restore the marking of color to the different entries in the table, we can. So I'm going to replace the cell markers with div markers. So replace them all. 269 items replaced. Well, that should be an even number. Maybe I took one out, I guess, by myself. Who knows? Now, let's see how we're doing. Okay, here is a divided line that I missed. Becomes perfectly clear that it was wrapped by hand, and it's easier to see now that we started to get rid of the HTML markers. I'm using my macro, go down to the end of the line. I don't know what I'm doing. There we go. Okay. And finish another one, yes. Go down to the end of the line, delete the new line marker and replace it with a space. That may double up on spaces, but we're gonna again have another sweep to make sure that there's the turn off the table marker. We don't need that. And here is a table row that didn't have an end of table row marker. So we're going to put in /div. Yes. Oh, whoa. Okay. My editor is being too helpful for me. There we go. /div. This is the leftover table at the bottom of the original page with a little navigation in it. We're at the very end of our information about people who did reviews. Okay, now I don't have to do this, I don't think, but I'm just going to check space, replace with a single space, clean that up, 90 items replaced. Well, all right, try again. Any others? Yes, okay. Some others. Now, I see. I can also get rid of the, this is a new line marker with a space after it, and just replace that with a new line marker. Replace them all, 407 lines, okay. And things are looking pretty good. Now I'm going to see whether I can get rid of double lines and replace them with one hat P, replaced with just a single hat P. That did not. Okay, All right, now we have pretty much cleaned everything up. There are no more hand-wrapped lines. We have about 147 entries in our new page. I now am going to copy this and go to sure I am, the sandbox that we're working in. And because I've logged in earlier today and many times, WordPress should recognize that I am an editor on the website, and when the front page appears, I get a toolbar, this black toolbar across the type at the top. And here I can say I want a new page. These are pages that we're making, not posts. And here comes the new page, and this I'm going to call book review authors. Now, type a slash to choose a block. I'm not going to do that in this case. That is an interesting technique. Here, because I know I have HTML code, I'm going to go to the code editor and paste the code that we have prepared into this page and save the draft, preview it in a new tab, and see how it looks. Ooh. It looks irregular. Something is causing these blank lines, and I don't know what it is. I'm going to stop the video right now because this could take time. Oh, look too. Do you see here, all of a sudden, we've lost control of our italics. Something happened in this entry where there's no close italics marker after the title of the book. And so that, and actually there's some other ones too. I can see it right here. Oh, and there's typos and things. Okay, so back when I'm done finding out what has gone wrong. I have a theory about what was causing the problem, that there is a mismatch between div opening tags and div closing tags. And to make visible those lines that are missing a div closing tag, I'm going to search and replace for /div. I want to see where those are. And I want to replace that closing tag with a new line and that tag. And that's going to move those tags from the end of the line to the margin, more or less, God willing. And that's 121 items replaced, but we have 140 some entries in our list. I think it was. I forget. Okay. But now I'm in a position to see rather easily where the end of a line did not have a closing div marker. And what I'm going to do is copy, I hope, from the end of a line to the end of the tag and the beginning of the next tag. So that's what I want to have happen when I click on a line that is not preceded by a close tag. And if I copy and paste. Nah, that's a little too much. Okay, so I only have to copy from here down to there. All right, I'm gonna work away at this. You can see wherever there's two lines that are not separated by an end of div marker, that's what's causing some of our troubles in the output file. Back when I'm done hacking away at this. I found that it was easiest to see the proper pairing of opening and closing tags by putting a new line after the div tags. Then it just became so easy to proofread. I don't have to read anything. I'm staring at the middle of my screen. I can see that there's a perfectly regular pattern of div/div as I scroll through the file. Nothing catches my eye any longer. Everything is paired. We haven't solved the problem of the missing italic off markers, but take it one step at a time. So we're going to take this and bring it over here, select all of the old HTML, plant the new edited HTML, save the draft, preview it in a new tab, which is over here. And not reading anything, just scrolling along at top speed. Whoa! Oh, something is still bad. So, time for another break. Go try to diagnose what goes wrong right at this point in the HTML and see if I can find a solution. So comparing the material in the code editor in WordPress with this line, the last good entry, moderately good entry, finding that in the HTML code in WordPress, we come across this little nightmare. What we have is italics on twice. The closing tag has to be a /I to turn off the italics before the author's name. Then we have two off tags. I don't know why. How did they get there? Beats me. And here we have two italic on and two, oh my heavens, three italic on, italic off tags. And we don't need those. And now I look at on, off, on, off, on, off. Ooh. Do we really need this LT here? What is that all about? Oh, that's less than. Okay, so this is it's an HTML safe representation of the greater than sign and the less than sign. And how it crept in here, I don't know. But I'm gonna just edit this by hand and get rid of all of that in this entry and be back in a moment. I have taken the code from WordPress back to my very powerful and excellent HTML sensitive text editor. Notice how my text editor colors the parts of the HTML, making them a little bit easier to recognize. And I've cleaned up any number of tags here, and I'm ready to experiment again. So copied it from WordPress code editor into this excellent HTML sensitive editor that gives me the markup that helps. Oops, that's all right. And AMP. That's another HTML safe code, but it does no harm. That's just the and sign spelled out in little code that doesn't harm a database or anything like that. Okay, so worked on the material over here. It's 147 entries, yes. And go back to the WordPress, paste in the revised HTML code and saved it. And now it's time to preview what WordPress does with that HTML code as we had before. And not reading anything, just trying to get a feel for the look of the entries. They seem to be more or less, so far, properly spaced so that one entry ends and another begins. And here we are. I remember that Diane Yeager is the last person on the list. We seem to have, now I'm trying to read, fixed the problem of the everything turning into italics. Now that may not be true, but we're in a position now where each entry is properly isolated from the other entries by a blank line. So if there is an improperly closed HTML tag, we can now deal with that over in the WordPress editor. So I feel that we have successfully, I hope we have successfully translated this page. I'm going to exit the code editor in WordPress and now see how this looks here. Oh well, it looks pretty ugly because of the fact that I didn't separate the entries with the carriage return. Now I can, at this point, do a thing called convert to blocks, which will, in this editor, make all of these paragraphs, all of these divs, I guess is what they are, I hope, become separate editable entries by converting everything here to blocks. Here we go. Let's see what happens when we do that. Aha. Well, I'm not happy with that because each of these blocks now is an HTML block. The kind of block that this is where we're looking at the tags by hand and putting in tags by hand, and that wasn't what I wanted. Okay, so one more trip to the text editor. I'm going to come back to code editor and see how this looks. Yeah, okay. So here, a WordPress paragraph is marked by this tag. And the other blocks that got inserted marking my entries, 147 entries, are WordPress HTML blocks instead of being WordPress paragraph block. Now, I'm going to copy everything out of here and put it in my wonderful, powerful HTML sensitive text editor. And I'm going to find out whether we can search and replace for HTML and replace that with paragraph. Will that instantaneously and painlessly, paragraph, give us what we want? I don't know. And this is an important principle that by which I operate. Let's find out. This is brand new to me. Learn by doing. Maybe everything will blow up. Well, if it does, I will have learned a lesson. Here we are back with the stuff that we marked to copy to the text editor, and now I'm going to paste back. Oops. I thought I was going to paste back from the text editor. Learn by doing. Control A, yes. Copy all of this stuff, yes. Set that aside for the moment. See if I can paste. Oh, okay. Here's all of my 147, 148 paragraphs now. I'm going to exit the code editor and see. Yes, that had the desired effect. Now, each entry is in its own paragraph. And I can edit the that paragraph various and sundry ways. This is what I was going to say. Now we can proofread every entry, look for where the italics begin and end, and if they're correct, there's no problem. But let's just suppose that, gut feelings, okay? We see something that needs fixing, we click on it and we fix it. And the same thing with, look, Nancy. I don't think that's her name. I'm gonna guess she's Nancy. And if I'm wrong, okay, I'll pay for it in purgatory. But suppose I want to put her in bold. Now Nancy is bolded. If I want Murphy in italics, I click italics. If I want the italics off, if I want the bold off, it's just like, I don't know, Microsoft Word or some other, what you see is what you get editor now. Now that everything's been, I call it softened up, the HTML tags regularized, and everything is in a paragraph that can be large or small depending on the size of our screen. And the text will flow properly within the different sizes of screen. So, oh look, okay. So I'm just going to sit here and proofread, and we will. Here, we'll just wrap up the lesson. When the proofreading's done, we save the draft. It's not strictly necessary, and you can save a draft by pressing Control S. You don't have to move the mouse. And we're now going to publish it, and we have to push publish once, and then WordPress asks, are you sure? Yeah, we don't want to put garbage out there. And I say, yeah, I'm going to publish it. Okay, and that's how you translate a page from how I, in this case, translate a page from HTML into WordPress. There are other methods. Thanks for watching this video. We'll see you again.